Hi everyone. So for the evening reflection, I wanted to share some of what I've read from this book. It's John O'Donohue's Anam Cara, and there's a lot of similarities between the way that Africa does religion and the Celtic religion. And I was reading today on their poems, their poetry. So the English way, or the way that we are taught, is that everything starts with your thinking. It's not about feeling, it's not about emotion. It's about Descartes' I think, therefore I am. And it's very cerebral. And it's very different to the African way of doing things, where everything is one. Your emotions, your feelings, your thinking, it's not separate. It's not a journey from the head to the heart. It's not that way at all. So it's very different when you go into Jesuit training and Jesuit thinking, and they start using terminology like that, because you have to switch how you're thinking. But for us that grew up in Africa, it's not that way at all. It's about being at one with nature, being at one with the earth, with the community. And you have that essence of finding God in things and finding God in everything that you do. So there's a beautiful poem in here. It's an Irish poem, and it's believed traditionally to be the first poem ever composed in Ireland. All of the elements of the poem have numerous association in early Irish literature. It's by P. Murray, and it says, I am the wind which breathes upon the sea. I am the wave of the ocean. I am the murmur of the billows. I am the ox of the 7 combats. I am the vulture upon the rocks. I am a beam of the sun. I am the fairest of plants. I am the wild boar in valor. I am the salmon in the water. I am a lake in the plain. I am a world of knowledge. I am the point of the lance of battle. I am the God who created the fire in the head. And I thought it was a really beautiful poem to take. I spend some time every day in quiet, just reading, and I pick up different books. This is one of my books that I have in my library. And it's basically, if we look at our lives, right, we are clay. Our bodies are made of clay, but they also have blood, they have air in them, they have the wind in them, they have the sun in them, they have all the elements of the earth in them. And so we are made up of clay, and through that clay, God works, and God uses us. And when other people try to impose on us how we should be, how we should dress, how we should act, we are not living life to the full. And many of us have our dreams squashed, we have our goals squashed, because the systems that are put in place will only let certain of us come up. They'll only let certain families come up. And it's a structure. It's the way society is structured. It's structured so that you're supposed to have poor people, a middle class, and the rich. And the way they messed it up, because they wanted to do that, but what's happened is that everybody is becoming poor. So you're going to get very rich people and very poor people. And as a result of the systems that are being implemented here in Canada, many of us are going into informal sectors. We're going into trying to start our own businesses. We're offering things like I Am, spiritual direction. We're offering to tutor, to take people in. Some people are taking children in, because they don't need to have a license to do it. So they look after people's children after school and things like that. And that's the same way that my grandmother did it. So because the children couldn't go to school, in Kwekwe, in Rhodesia, the non-white children, they had to fight for it. So many children were schooled at home, and then my grandmother used to sell curry out of her house, curry and rice. So people used to stop by and pick up that curry and rice and then go home. And then from there she did her seamstress courses. She took courses in India. And then she started making clothes for people. And my grandfather opened up a little kiosk, again, an informal business. Then later on they got their license for that, and then they became a formal business. So this is how many of us are doing it in Canada, because the banks don't want to lend to us, they don't want to give us the money, they don't want to help us to come up in life. So I'm offering this through my social media, and wherever there's a license that's saying, okay, this person is claiming a license on the music, I share it. It's becoming a shared society, because people have started to recognize that, yeah, okay, this is my song and I have the rights to it, but I'm willing to share it with this person if they're dancing to my music and they're singing with it and they're bringing joy to other people. Other people are enjoying it. So I opt in for it. Why not? If I can make some money doing that way, why wouldn't I do it? I think it's a good way to do it, because you don't want, I think Zimbabwe had good intentions when they started up all the vendors and all of that, but it becomes very difficult because you have vendors sitting outside your shop selling the same things that you're selling inside your shop. So I don't know how things are going to work out in this country, because we're going into poverty, we're going into states where people can't get loans. I can't get a loan. I've been trying to get loans to do my ministry work since I graduated. I can't get a loan to do my ministry work. I can't get a loan to do my John Maxwell. And okay, with the ministry work, people can say, you know what, that's like charity work. You should just take whatever we give you. But everybody wants it free. The John Maxwell is set up through, people that are making thousands, but they want me to do it free. So at some point you have to say, no, I'm not willing to do it free. If you want me to do it, you have to pay me, because I also need to earn my living. And I'm not coming out of high school. I've done my internships. I've done my giving to the community. So I also need to earn a living. And so these are different ways of thinking. If you juxtapose that, I think, therefore I am, to the poem that I just read, they're very different. And so we learn different schools of thought, and from that we have to find our way forward. It might not be ideal, because what we're doing now, other people haven't done before, but we have to try. And I like this book because it also reminds me a lot of how we grew up. So in Zimbabwe, many of the houses are bungalows. And when you walk into the house, especially in the winter time, you don't have this air conditioning throughout the house. So you'll have a fireplace, and everybody gathers around that fireplace in the winter time, and it warms up your lounge, your kitchen area very quickly, because they're usually connected. And then in the bedrooms, we'll have a little electric bar heater. And you put that on for a little while and then you switch it off. You don't keep it on all the time. So the way that we grew up, it's very similar to how the Irish grew up. When you're coming off the moors, you're coming off that cold, that bitter cold, and you're coming in. And you have the earth, again, you have the earth burning in your home. If you think about it, you're bringing the earth into your home. In Canada, a lot of the houses are made of wood. They're not made of brick, so that's a big difference. And that's how they insulate the houses. So you have your wooden panel. Behind that wooden panel, you have insulation. And that insulation keeps your place warm in the winter time. So even the way we build is different compared to here. And that's part of our spirituality. It's part of who we are. I feel very claustrophobic living in small spaces, but I don't really have a choice because I can't afford to buy a house. And what's happening in Canada is because the economic situation is so bad, even the condominiums are going empty. They can't find people to rent. They can't find people to buy the new condos that are coming up because people don't have money to put that down payment down, because people like me who are educated and very highly qualified, very well skilled, we can't get jobs. So we can't save. How are we supposed to save if we can't get good paid jobs? Because we're getting jobs where you're earning $9,000 a year, $15,000 a year, $35,000 a year. And condominiums cost millions. Tiny little spaces like mine, which are like under 700 square feet, are selling for millions. So how are you supposed to buy a place of your own? And again, it's the spirituality that's built into that, because they are building a society for millionaires. And what about the rest of us? What about the rest of us who went to school, who studied, who are educated, who did your dirty work, cleaned your toilets, took out your garbage, emptied your dishwashers? We did all your dirty work. We got sick on jobs in call centers. What about us? How are we supposed to come up in life? The other big thing is now the wetlands. They're saying we should look after our wetlands. Well, we'll see how it plays out. I'm watching all the videos on Zimbabwe. They're saying that the mining is affecting how the water flows in different areas, so the dams are drying up. But if we don't come back to God, if we don't come back to looking at treating everybody the right way, including people like me, who came to this country, who serve our churches, who build up our priests, who make sure that things work, don't expect your countries to flourish, because they're not going to. Because you're building greed. That's what you're doing. You're basically telling me you have to earn $70,000 a year, or we can't lend it you the money. So how do you expect me to earn that $70,000 a year if you're not giving me those jobs? It becomes a catch-22, and it's the same thing that we grew up with. It's the same thing we grew up with in Rhodesia, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. It's the exact same thing. They basically killed me. I have problems with my eyes. I couldn't afford to get eye checks done every year, because most years I wasn't working. And when I did get new glasses, my cousins sent me the money because they were in good paid jobs in America, working for lawyers and investment banks. So they sent me the money after, I asked them after 10 years because I couldn't take it anymore. So they sent me money so I could go and get my eyes checked and get new glasses. I have a stigma in my one eye now. That's why if you look at my photos, the one eye looks a little bit off. Again, I did the best I could under the circumstances that I had to deal with in this country. And when I got my job at Teleperformance, the first thing I did was I went and I had my eyes checked. And I got new glasses. And I had them checked again after that. So no one can blame me. I didn't create the circumstances that Canada's going through. But that's what relatives say. That's what my Aunt Delisa's family says about me, that I created it. No, I didn't. So sometimes your reputation gets spoiled by others, but you have to know what you did and didn't do. And this notion of home, this notion, going back to that scripture of home, when we find the solitude in our hearts, when we find the solitude in even being alone, then we find God within that. And it doesn't shake us. We're not hurt by loneliness. We're not touched by that deep loneliness that nothing can fill. Because that void is filled by God, and it's filled by our spirituality. And that's how we bring the old and the new together. If we don't have that, You can't bring the old and the new together, because you'll always be reaching outside of yourself when the mystery lies within you. And that's what Jesus was teaching us, that it's the kingdom of God is among us and within us. And that's why he said to that young man that the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head, but the Son of God has somewhere to lay his head. So that's what he was telling him, that you want to come follow me, but do you truly believe? Because the Son of God, the children of God, if we look after each other, we'll always have a place to lay our head. If I go home to Zimbabwe, I'm not worried. I'm not worried, because I know that there I'm home. The Indian community, the colored community, they'll never let me go live on the street. They'll never say to me, we don't know what you're going to do. Don't come and sponge off our family. They'll never say that to me. Firstly, because they know who I am from childhood. Secondly, because they know how much I've done for them from Canada. And thirdly, because they know how much I did when I was there. So that's the difference between a home and living in Canada. Here I do so much for people, for Americans, for Canadians, for the Brits, but what do I get in response? That's the difference. So when you read the scriptures, when you're reading what Jesus is saying, you can bring your own experiences of how you grew up, what was important, how the community was, and you can bring it into today. I don't want to be taking buses to places. I want to sit in a car and go. I want to be able to have my own car. I want to be able to get my license. I want to be able to be in those top jobs, not always taking the low-paid jobs, the menial jobs. I don't want that. I want to be working in the youth ministries. I want to be going with the Maxwell team to Argentina and Brazil and all these places. That's what I want for myself. And that's why I'm doing these talks, so others can learn from me and I can also come up, including financially. I pray Zimbabwe gets the rains, and I pray that they protect and preserve Victoria Falls. I pray that it comes together for them, because when you're over here, all you can do is post, share the posts, raise awareness. You can do stuff from here that helps. But I'm glad the people there are speaking up, because that's what we need. And people like me here are speaking up and saying, we want better. You guys are treating us worse than animals. You're just telling us, well, you know what? Tough. If you suffered on the job, you lost some of your hearing, you have tinnitus, you have high blood pressure. That's basically what Teleperformance said to me. There's nothing. If we can't find a job for you, we're not going to give you any severance. Under the Employment Standards Act, they should, but they're not willing to. You think I'm going to take them to court so they can ruin my family even more? What for? They all know what's happening. They're not just doing it to me. They're doing it to millions of us. And they're doing it to Canada. Does anyone care? No, they don't. Because they're making billions until the company collapses, like how TD almost collapsed, and like how Credit Suisse collapsed. Then they'll all sit here and cry. Maybe you should start treating me right. And then maybe from there, you can avoid problems. I am a child of God. I'm not son of man. I'm daughter of God.